Is there anything more frightening than being alone, stranded in some desolate place with no chance of reaching the outside world? Horror has made great use of this fear over the years, with plenty of movies trapping their characters in locations where they can't get out, leaving them with no choice but to face the terrors that lie within. As a result, there are many memorable remote locations in horror history, outposts if you will. And with that being said, I'm Jem from WhatCulture.com, and here are 10 forgotten remote outpost horror movie gems. Number 10. Calibre. If you work for the Scottish Tourism Board, then look away now, because 2018's Calibre does not paint your country in a good light. Directed by Matt Palmer, this Netflix movie stars Jack Lowden and Martin McCann as two men who travel to the remote Scottish Highlands to do a spot of hunting. Unfortunately, they end up mixing with the wrong sort after an evening in the pub, which brings them into contact with a local cult. After a series of misfortunes strike our heroes, they resolve to sneak out of the small village they're staying in without the cult noticing. This proves to be much easier said than done. The movie works so well because of how assuming its setting is. To the untrained eye, it's a nice quiet settlement in a beautiful part of the Scottish countryside, somewhere you might realistically go for a weekend break. It is this same idyllic qualities that doom the film's protagonist, as once they're there, they have nowhere else to go. Number 9. Blood River. You can tell from just the title of this 2009 movie from director Adam Mason that it is not a fun and carefree watch. Blood River follows a newly married couple, Clark, played by Ian Duncan, and Summer, Tess Panzer, as they take a trip to visit some relatives. Disaster strikes when their car blows a tyre, leaving them to continue their journey on foot. And this is why you always pack a spare. They come across what appears to be a deserted town in the middle of nowhere, where the only other inhabitant is a charismatic nomad named Joseph. At first, Joseph seems like a nice friendly guy who's willing to help the couple in their hour of need, but when has anyone like this ever been legit in a horror movie? As Joseph's true nature reveals itself, Clark and Summer must figure out how to escape him with no vehicle and no idea where they are. This jeopardy makes the already pretty freaky ghost town setting even more terrifying, as you're left wondering if this will be the protagonist's final resting place. Number 8. Them. From 2006 comes Them, a French-Romanian co-production originally released under the French title Ils. Clementine is a teacher who just relocated to Bucharest from France along with her boyfriend Lucas. They take up residence in their new house in the country, far away from civilization. Everything seems perfect at first until the couple realise that they're not alone. This movie combines the terror of two of horror's most enduring subgenres, the cabin in the woods story and the home invasion. Clementine and Lucas are in way over their heads as their dream home turns into a nightmare that intensifies when the identity of their attackers is revealed. This twist is a pretty integral part of the movie, so watch it if you want to find out what it is. Tense, claustrophobic and deeply disturbing, Them is not one to watch if you're ever thinking about moving out of the city, I'll tell ya. Number 7. Outpost. Everyone knows the best way to make any horror movie even scarier is to add Nazis. Just ask the makers of the 2008 movie Outpost. A group of international ex-military types are hired by a shady businessman to accompany him on a trip to an abandoned bunker. There's just one catch. The bunker's in the middle of an active war zone. Actually, there's a second catch too. When they get there, they discover that the facility was used by the Nazis during World War II as the site of a series of horrifying experiments. As the mystery of the base's former life begins to unravel, it becomes inherently clear that the war raging outside of the bunker has nothing on the carnage that's about to be unleashed within. Writer Ray Brunton described Outpost as Platoon meets The Sixth Sense, and he's not a million miles off. Throw in some excellent directing from Steve Barker, and Outpost is a brilliantly scary watch that brings together all sorts of strands from across the horror playbook. Number 6. The Decline. Considering that Canada is basically one giant remote outpost, it's not a surprise that the country has provided plenty of horrors like this one. In 2020, Netflix greenlit its first ever original movie produced entirely in Quebec. Antoine is a man who's inspired to become survivalist by a captivating content creator named Elaine. His family are less keen, so Antoine does what any good husband and father would in this situation and abandons them to go live in Elaine's camp. At first, he's smitten with the settlement and how self-sufficient it is, deciding that this is the place he wants to be when society collapses. In a tragic turn of events, an accident causes the camp's own hierarchy to crumble, setting off a catastrophic chain reaction. The Decline isn't just a dramatic horror thriller with a great setting, but also a great insight into the minds of people like this. People who have become so paranoid that they're willing to completely disregard human conventions in order to stay alive. Number 5. Hunter x Hunter. Fans of the Final Destination series will remember Devon Sawa for playing Alex Browning, the main character of the first film. For those wondering what he's been up to since then, he's not entirely left the horror world behind, as 2020's Hunter x Hunter demonstrates. Directed by Sean Linden, Hunter x Hunter features Joseph, a fur trapper who lives with his wife Annie and their daughter Renee in the frozen wilderness. Joseph goes out on a hunting mission one day to find the wolf that's been killing his stock, but finds something much worse than a big dog. Unlike a lot of other entries on this list, where the main characters are outsiders in their remote scenarios, Hunter x Hunter's about people that already live in an isolated area and what happens when trouble comes their way. This movie has a lot going for it and is way more than just a rip-off of the grey that it might appear to be. The setting's great, the plot's great, and Devon gives a great performance in the lead role. Although, why didn't he use his gift of foresight to put things right? Who knows? Number 4. The Sacrament. Before he made X and its prequel Pearl, director Ty West got behind the camera for 2013 found footage movie named The Sacrament. AJ Bowen and Joe Swanberg play two journalists working for the news site Vice, investigating one of their colleagues and his search for his missing sister. The poor woman has gotten herself involved with a cult, one not too dissimilar to the People's Temple movement, also known as the group behind the infamous Jonestown massacre. Their journey takes them to the community's remote commune, a location only accessible by helicopter. The pilot tells them that he will return the next day and then leave, either with or without them, which only ratchets up the tension once the truth behind the cult is discovered. The enclosed nature of the compound gives the cultists full control over what happens to the outsiders. They are completely beholden to their will, with the only one chance of escape. If they miss that, they're done for. Told through the chilling first-person perspective of the cameraman, The Sacrament is a cult horror with a difference. Number 3. Black Mountain Side. Black Mountain Side, a 2014 indie horror, is about a group of archaeologists who take a journey to the Arctic upon hearing rumour of a strange new discovery. Along with their team of Native American workers, they uncover a massive ancient structure buried beneath the ice. They think they've hit the jackpot with this once-in-a-lifetime find, but all they've done is make things a million times worse for themselves. A wave of madness sweeps over the camp, driving the native workers away. The scientists then start to suffer bizarre symptoms ranging from lack of sleep to paranoia to full-on hallucinations. It quickly becomes apparent that whatever they dug up was not supposed to be disturbed. With the mystery at its core, Black Mountain Side is more than just a horror. When you're watching the camp's inhabitants slowly turn on each other, you're left wondering what all-powerful force is behind this and why it's doing what it's doing. Also, is there any way anybody's gonna make it out of this thing alive? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and while you're there, drop us a like, share and subscribe too. Number 2. Europa Report. It doesn't get much more remote than space, which is why plenty of horror filmmakers have visited the final frontier over the years, including Ecuadorian Sebastian Cordero, director of 2013's Europa Report. 6 astronauts are tasked with journeying to Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, to see if it could possibly sustain life. While they're there, a solar storm knocks out their transmissions, leaving the crew stranded in this hostile foreign land. To make matters worse, they discover that Europa might just be inhabited after all. The film, which is shot found footage style, transports you to this strange new place alongside the unfortunate souls. Like any great Lost in Space tale, it conveys the terror of being so far away from home and the fear of what might be lurking in the shadows. Europa Report should really be up there with the greats of extraterrestrial horror, but unfortunately, like a lot of Cordero's work, it remains largely unappreciated. And number 1, Outland. If you've ever wanted to see a movie in which Sean Connery plays a cowboy who lives on a moon of Jupiter, then firstly, you have very specific tastes, and secondly, this one's for you. This 1981 movie, directed by Peter Hyams, the man who made the 2001 A Space Odyssey sequel, is set on a mining colony on the moon. Connery's character, Federal Marshal William O'Neill, is sent there to help maintain order, which goes about as well as you'd expect. O'Neill makes the shocking discovery that the miners are being drugged in an effort to boost productivity. Unfortunately, the drug has side effects that turns them crazy after a few days, so it's up to the lawman to root out the source of the problem before everybody goes mad. A mixture of sci-fi, western, and horror tropes, Outland isn't the most original movie out there, but it's a lot of fun, especially with Connery at his scenery-chewing best. It also scored an Oscar nomination for Best Sound, so it's clear that a lot of work went into this project.